Hello everyone. I'm sitting here with Alex Kjerulf, the Chief Happiness Officer. It's a pleasure being here in a beautiful Copenhagen. And we are talking about happiness at the workplace and how it affects performance, as Alex will be speaking as a keynote speaker at the upcoming People Innovation Summit. So I visited here in Copenhagen and I'd like to find out more about why happiness is important and how happiness affects work performance.
I actually think that happiness at work is one of the most important success parameters in business today. If you look at the research, I think we can be fairly certain that happy workplaces are more successful and make more money than their unhappy competitors. So basically, if you can make your employees happy, they will do a better job and your company will perform better.
Mm-hmm. But is it expensive to come up with a new initiative? Here our listeners, they probably think, oh, not another initiative, and we've been maxed out with initiatives and we don't have budget, especially in today's tough economic conditions. So what does it take financially?
Well, if you do it wrong, it can be very expensive. And unfortunately, most workplaces do it wrong. A lot of workplaces think, okay, we need to create a happy workplace. Let's build a corporate gym. Those cost a lot of money, and honestly, they don't work. They do not make people happy. Other companies say, let's focus on incentives and bonuses and raises, which is very expensive. And again, the research shows this is not what makes people happy. So you can really waste a ton of money on stuff like gyms, massages, raises, bonuses, incentives, perks, fancy offices, French chef in the cafeteria, when those are actually not the things that make people happy at work. If you look at the research about what makes us happy at work, what makes us really love our jobs, it turns out that it comes down to two things: results and relationships. Results and relationships. Results is about being good at your job. When you know that I rock. I am really good at what I do. I am needed. I create value. I have all the skills and all the support I need to do a really good job. And more than that, I make a positive difference. My clients, my customers need what I do, and I help people who really need it. When you have meaningful results like that, that makes us incredibly happy at work. That feeling of pride feels amazing. So that's results. And relationships is when you like the people you work with. Okay, a good relationship to your coworkers and a good relationship to your immediate manager is absolutely crucial. That feeling that I belong in the workplace. They like me, they appreciate me, they want me here. If you have those two things, results and relationships, then you're going to be happy at work. And if you don't have results and relationships, if I'm not very good at what I do, I don't really make a difference, my job is not meaningful and nobody here likes me, then I can promise you that no amount of gyms or massages or perks or whatever, none of that is ever going to make a difference, and you are going to be unhappy at work.
Okay, so if I'm an HR director and I saw the idea on happiness at workplace and how important is it to implement it across the organization, across teams, and help my company to succeed and become even more successful, what are the actual steps I'm supposed to take in order to make it really happen?
Well, that's the thing. Gyms and perks and all that is really expensive. Creating results and relationships is actually really cheap, but it does require much more of managers and HR as people. It requires an absolutely relentless focus on making sure that our employees every single day do a good job, know they do a good job, and feel that they belong. And you can do that in so many ways, but it does require much more of you on a program level, rather than just saying, okay, let's buy a gym. It's easy but expensive. Creating results and relationships is cheap but hard, and it requires a really, really relentless focus. First of all, you need top-level support. You need somebody at the top of the organization saying, yes, happiness is a strategic priority and something that we as a business will focus on. If you don't have that, you can do a lot of things to create happiness at work, but suddenly the CEO will make some kind of strategic decision that makes everybody really unhappy, and the whole program is lost. You need support for happiness in your mission, vision, values, and principles, whatever organizational principles you have. need to support happiness at work. But more than that, even more than that, you need this to be a part of your day-to-day interactions. The way people interact with each other, the way we communicate, the way we treat each other on a day-to-day basis, that is how we create results in relationships. And I think that the most important step here is middle managers. Making sure that your middle managers are good managers, that they know how to create results in relationships for themselves and for their employees every single day. That is really what it takes. That's where the whole thing starts.
Okay. So there's been a lot of terms talk about starting satisfaction at work. Now we talk about employee engagement, happiness at work. What is the difference between this case, if this is your definition of happiness, is having a meaningful work with a good relation with co-workers, and mid-managers are so important. We all know that in engagement, the mid-managers are drivers of engagement.
Yeah.
So what is the major difference between engagement at work and happiness at work?
That's a fascinating question. Here's the difference. Happiness at work is how you feel when you're on the job. You know, on a regular, perfectly normal work day, when you're at your desk doing your job, what is your emotional state? Do you feel good about your job? Do you want to be there? Or do you feel bad? Are you sitting at your desk feeling nervous, stressed, frustrated, unhappy? That is really the definition of happiness at work, is a positive emotional state at work. Of course, you can't always be in a positive emotional state at work. Sometimes you're going to be unhappy at work, sometimes you're going to be happy at work. That's fine. But most of the time, are you at work feeling good? Or when you're at home thinking about your job, you know, on Sunday evening when the weekend is almost over and another work week is ahead of you, how do you feel about your job? Do you actually want to go there? Do you have positive emotions about your job? And it turns out that our emotional state has a massive effect on our job performance, and it drives those other things that we talk about. Looking at the research, it's very clear that our emotional state drives engagement, it drives motivation, and it drives satisfaction. So if you are happy with what you do, if you like your job, if you wake up on a Monday morning excited to go to work, that will drive engagement, and you will be engaged in your job. It will drive motivation, and you will be motivated about the things you do, and it will drive satisfaction, and you will be satisfied in your job. There is a circular relationship, and being engaged also makes you happy, being motivated also makes you happy, but the link is much stronger from happiness to engagement, motivation, and satisfaction. And that is why happiness is sort of the root cause of engagement, motivation, and satisfaction. And that's why it pays much more to invest in happiness than it does to invest in, say, engagement or satisfaction.
If you talk about happiness, and if you talk about, I want to be happy, I want to be at home on a Sunday evening and think about Monday morning as thank God it's Monday, finally.
Yeah.
But whose responsibility is to be happy? Is it me, or do I have to wait for my mid-managers, my HR, to come up with some sort of happiness schemes and make me happy? How much of a responsibility, where does individual responsibility start?
Yeah.
And HR's responsibility begins? So how the two things work together well?
There's absolutely a shared responsibility here. You know, as an employee, I can't just lean back and say, sure, I'd like to be happy. What are you going to do about that, dear manager? You can't do that.
But isn't this the attitude very often?
That is the attitude in a lot of workplaces, and that is never going to work. Because here's the thing, seeing that happiness at work is an internal emotional state, there is no way that you as a manager can actually make sure that people are happy, because it is an internal emotional state. So people have got to take responsibility for themselves and make sure that they have everything they need to be happy at work. That being said, the managers create, let's say the manager of the department creates a set of circumstances in that department, and some managers make it really easy to be happy at work. You know, they're good managers, they create great frameworks and systems and processes and give good feedback and so on, get good support, and that makes it easy for employees to be happy at work. Other managers do the exact opposite. You know, they're bad managers, they give no support, they create a really bad atmosphere, making it almost impossible to be happy at work. The way we see it is that the manager sort of creates the framework. And that's your responsibility as a manager, is to create a really good framework, a really good atmosphere, good processes, good systems, good feedback, good support. And within that framework, it's up to each and every single employee to make sure that they are happy at work and make each other happy at work. And that is the sort of the division of responsibility that we see around happiness at work.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, all of you, for listening to our discussion with Alex. And if you'd like to find out more about how to create a happy and engaging workplace that drives performance, join us at the People Innovation Summit on 19-21 May in Moscow.
And of course, what you'll get there is very specific things that you can do to create a happier workplace, because this is not rocket science. There are a lot of workplaces out there that have already done this. You need to know what to do, and I'm going to tell you what that is.
Great. We look forward to meeting you there, and look forward to meeting you there as well.